High frequency trading, of course, is one of the main topics of TabbFORUM. We talk about it all the time. Well, here we're talking with Camilla Sullivan. She's the producer and director of a new film called Ghost Exchange, which actually happens to feature me and other folks. But and she's taking us to task on our studio here because she's dealing with $1 million cameras. We've got the little, Walmart things here.
It's lovely.
Thank you. But we're going to talk about Ghost Exchange. We're going to talk about the experience of making the movie, what the movie's about, where to see it, and try to entice you to go visit it. So thank you, Camilla, for joining us. So how's this whole process been? So you're creating a movie on high-frequency trading?
Thanks for having me, Larry. And I know it sounds funny, sitting around at dinner parties and friends are like, so what's your new film about? I'm like, oh, it's gripping. It's about high-frequency trading and market structures, decimalization. You're going to love it. And as their eyes glaze over, I assure them that there are things, whether, I'm talking to my 20-year-old au pairs or my mum and dad, that are really relevant for anyone, honestly, who has so much as a pension fund that they might be worried about, or even just a bank account. Really came about, we were very interested after the flash crash, and started to really dig in on some research, and I had no idea that so much of the trades done today in the United States in particular are never touched by human hands and aren't even decided by a human, but they're decided by an algorithm.
So coming at this from an outsider, looking at the film and being part of the film, there are pros and cons. You've got the Themis guys kind of a little on the negative side. You have Gus Salter kind of saying, fast is good, faster is better. Where do you kind of fall in the middle here after doing this?
I mean, as filmmakers, we sort of see our job is to incite the discussion. So our opinion, in some degree, doesn't matter as much, but I think the biggest opinion we have is that this is an important discussion, and the Themis guys are right, and Gus is right, and they're probably both right, and there's got to be a encapsulation of this technology in a way that it can be used for the best innovation, where it makes total sense. But there's, a quote in a film from Harvey Pitt, the former SEC chairman, who says, look, ultimate freedom's fine up until the point where you encroach on the freedom of others. And I do think that technology has evolved faster than the SEC and other regulators have really been able to get their hands around it. So our opinion is we need some control. I mean, we have speed limits on the road. My car can go a lot faster than the speed limit, I know. Not that I've done it, but I could. So, is faster better? Don't know. So that's really our opinion, and we want to bring the brilliant people like yourself and like Gus and like Harvey Pitt and David Wielden, bring you all into a room and say, let's debate and see what we should do.
Well, you had your premiere yesterday at LiquidNet with Seth Marin, who's also in the film. How did it go?
Well, it was nerve-wracking. It's like delivering your baby and asking everybody, is it ugly or is it not? But it was very well received. Obviously, very interested audience. It was about half financial press and half, Wall Street connections and Seth's member community. And it was fantastic. At the end of the film, we got an applause and we stood around for hours talking. And I think the two themes I heard the most, one was, wow, great job taking such a long and complex topic and bringing it down to 86 minutes, which we found very difficult.
Well, I know that we had talked for a good hour or so, and I'm not complaining, but I was only a small portion of it, but you must have had hours and hours and hours of discussion with some of these folks.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we had hundreds and hundreds of pages of transcripts that we worked through in the writing process, crafting a story and then working out what's the best soundbite to support that story with this picture, and then constantly testing ourselves against multiple audiences. I mean, for example, some of the things we talked about with you, I know they would be very difficult for some audiences to follow. The same applied to everybody. So it was like, how can we make this into a discussion that's digestible? So we did hear that, and then, there's some humor in this film as well. We can't all sit around slitting our wrists, so...
No, when we try to write, we try to write with humor, because if you look at this all day long with a really straight face, it gets really hard.
It really can get depressing. So we've got, plenty of jokes in there. Everyone laughed at the right time, and they all said they appreciated the humor, because it kept you realizing this is a human debate. Really, we've got smartest people around, we've got to get with our regulators and collaborate and debate. And in the end, there's no magic wand, and we're all just people trying to work it out.
Now, the timing of this movie is extremely prescient. So first of all, I know when we, talked about filming, which was kind of, I think, the end of summer, you were supposed to film TJ at night, like, the day of the nightmare.
Yep. So that didn't pan out. We were packed up on the road, headed to Jersey City, and we got that little, very sort of quiet phone call. I'm like, yes, I understand you have to cancel the interview. Got it. So we headed up anyway, and we thought, well, there's going to be a great opportunity to talk to people about what has just happened. So we're very lucky to speak with your colleague, Andrew Sussman, who is fantastic, who we literally grabbed him and dragged him in front of the camera and like, so what do you think about Night? And, things kept happening throughout the filming. That Facebook IPO happened, Night happened, and, the NYSE was sold. I mean, trying to keep it current is really challenging.
And now, pretty much the day you premiere, you've got headlines that the SEC is teaming up with the FBI to investigate some of this? It's
absolutely mind-blowing, especially now it's getting very local, given that we're DC-based, and I wonder whether I should drop a copy off to the FBI and go, it's good background material.
They might be subpoenaing you.
Hey, they might. Bring it on.
They want to see your back footage.
The blooper reel.
Yeah, the blooper reel.
But it is really, really topical. And, I think what's really fulfilling for us, again, as filmmakers, is we knew it was important. We learned so much along the way. And the importance of it has only increased because it hasn't gone away, it hasn't been fixed, we haven't been able to roll it under a rug. Things keep happening, and they're happening on a scale now. As you just said, the FBI is interested. So
yeah, this is massive. So I guess the question becomes is, am I going to go to my local movie theater and see this, or how am I going to be able to view this?
Great question. So short version is indie films, and this is purely indie. We self-funded this, every cent. Are distributed usually on multiple platforms at once now. So the industry has really changed a lot. So what our plan has been is to do, first of all, let's get it out there. We know before the end of March we'll be available on iTunes. And a lot of movies are now coming out on iTunes at the same time as the festival circuit, and then sometimes are picked up for exclusive distribution and taken off iTunes. So we have several...
So if you get a distributor, they'll pull it off of iTunes,
take it off
and
iTunes,
take it to
and
the
then
movie
they'll
theaters?
own it. So, or they may, then they'll own the rights, keep it on iTunes, but then put it in what's called narrowcasting, which is select theaters. So, we had some really great input, and we've had some really high-profile people look at the film and really like it. Are you going to take a date on a Saturday night to watch a film about high-frequency trading? I don't know. Maybe it won't be you won't get a second date out of it. But I do
maybe your wife.
Yeah.
Or your
husband.
Your
kids.
That's right.
But I think that in select, it would make a good select theater run, particularly in Chicago,
and
New York, DC, London, Hong Kong.
Right.
So we are releasing on iTunes, again, within the next 2 weeks, and we'll be out in Ireland, UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and the US to start. And then the next round will include, we'll do subtitles. So there's a whole raft of other countries. We've had more than 18 different countries inquire about having the film.
Cool.
So,
and I know that we're going to be doing an event in Toronto with TD. And Peter Harris, or Haynes, not Harris.
Haynes, but and that was purely based on interest. TD Bank have only seen the trailer, and they were so gracious to call and say, "This is
Peter's
so
a good
important."
guy. He's really into this stuff.
Well, I'm good.
He would actually go out and see it in the theater on Saturday night
with his date.
That's right.
But I'd say first port of call will be iTunes, and then hopefully some of the film festivals, or otherwise we'll just keep rolling on making our own like we are now, and then we'll keep everyone updated. As we know, we're talking to several major networks at the same time. It's all very, just been born stage. So
that's cool.
It is exciting.
So what's next? We were talking a little bit earlier that there may be a son of HFT Ghost Exchange.
So we actually are in pre-production on the next film. And it's one of the topics that we learned about throughout this process that is, in a way, even more more important, about the state of the IPO market and all the various factors that have really depressed the US IPO market. And you look at it's like squeezing a balloon. We're squeezing it out of the US into Singapore, Hong Kong, other countries. Germany now is doing things to make their market more attractive. So it's called the Great Delisting Machine, another cheery topic.
Yeah.
But really digging in, and we're going to
do one on kitties soon.
Kitties and bunnies. So it's funny. We do have a film in the works about American classic cars in Cuba. So that is going to be more artistic and a little less depressing.
No, but the IPO issue is a big issue. The whole, trying to build an SME market for small and medium enterprises to raise capital, I think, is a huge issue and well worth 2 hours of film. Oh,
and we want to follow. We're going to plan to follow a couple of small caps as they go through the process and see when do you break strike price. Where are you at 30 days? In both the US and probably Singapore, Hong Kong, and see how they fare differently. And
that sounds really interesting, actually.
So that's the next one.
We're a bunch of wonks here, so
but we'll see in Hong Kong.
Okay. Well, with that, I want to thank Camilla Sullivan, producer and director of the Ghost Exchange. I want to entice TabbFORUM viewers to go look at it on iTunes, hopefully later this month, or come to your nearest event that's featuring it. It was a great experience to work with Camilla and her team to put this together. And thank you for joining us on TabbFORUM.
Thank you.